Hello everyone, welcome to A Clear Perspective. I'm Serene Lee. Recently, the Epoch Times conducted a survey asking people to choose their 5 favorite US presidents. Trump came out on top. On the same survey, Obama was the most unpopular president, followed by Joe Biden. The survey was conducted from February 9th to February 21st. More than 128,000 readers filled out the survey, including more than 72,000 subscribers. Let's move on to our current president. On Monday, Newsmax host Grant Stinchfield said,
"We had a doctor on this program from Mount Sinai Medical Hospital who made the diagnosis watching 30 hours of video that Joe Biden has early to mid-stage dementia. Now that he's president, I believe Joe Biden's mental state is a clear national security threat. Now other parts of the world apparently are noticing too."
Biden is 78 years old. Many people think he is struggling with dementia. Is he able to handle the task he has been sworn in to do? However, mainstream media simply ignores and dismisses this alarming issue because they are on his side. Let's look at some news regarding the Biden administration's latest policies. On February 23rd, the U.S. Concealed Carry Association, USCCA, sent a letter to Biden calling for changes to his common-sense gun law reforms. The organization warned that the proposed gun control could criminalize an estimate of 105 million legal gun owners. The USCCA president stated in the letter,
"If you are truly interested in advocating for common-sense gun law reforms that are grounded in reality rather than anti-gun political ideology, we urge you to consider a new path with the goal of keeping Americans safe by ensuring they can protect their families and loved ones at all times."
The USCCA has about 556,000 members. They believe Biden's push for gun control on the 3rd anniversary of the Parkland High School shooting is an unnecessary move. In 2020, BLM riots and the CCP virus prompted many Americans to buy guns. According to the National Shooting Sports Foundation, as many as 8.5 million people bought their first gun in 2020. Next, in a Newsmax interview on February 22nd, former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo also questioned the Biden administration's foreign policy. He stated that Communist China, Iran, and terrorist organizations only understand power, and so the United States must not show weakness to them. Pompeo was particularly worried about U.S. policies toward the Chinese Communist Party and the Middle East, with Iran in particular. He said the Biden administration announced plans to rejoin the infamous Iran nuclear deal, from which Trump withdrew. Pompeo believes the Biden administration's move would undermine much of what the U.S. had done previously in the Middle East. He said,
I do worry that an administration that wants to coddle the regime in Iran, wants to hug them close and appease them. Those are the kind of things that create risk in the Middle East. And when you create risk in the Middle East, nations no longer are in a place where they feel like they can do the right thing every day and always. And so
clearly, Pompeo was worried.
Pressure on the regime, and now they're about to throw that all away in exchange for what appears to be almost nothing.
Biden's foreign policy, especially rejoining the Iran nuclear deal, will essentially weaken America and strengthen Iran. This is the same as Obama's policy toward Iran. Why? I will analyze this later. On February 22nd, the Biden administration's $1.9 trillion pandemic relief bill passed the House Budget Committee. The bill will be considered in the House of Representatives this week. Breitbart News reports that the Democratic coronavirus bill contains at least $312 billion in policies unrelated to the coronavirus. The Conservative Republican Study Committee, RSC, released a 3-page memo this week. It revealed that all the left-wing items Democrats are hoping the public won't find about. The Democrats' relief bill was released on February 19th, a 591-page long document named American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. RSC's newly elected chairman, Jim Banks, noted that Democrats have been trying to quietly load up this $1.9 trillion budget reconciliation bill with special interest PAC and other liberal goodies. Banks told Fox News.
Now, keep in mind, only 1% of this $1.9 trillion will go toward vaccines. Only 5% overall of this entire package is geared toward public health efforts directly related to the pandemic.
And the rest of the 95% goes to Democrats' special interest groups. Banks also said Biden's bill is a bailout full of kickbacks to Democrats' special interest groups that gave them power, such as $10 million to every labor union, bailouts to Planned Parenthood, and the stimulus grants to illegal immigrant families. Banks added,
families. And if that's not bad enough, Nancy Pelosi plugged in a $200 million earmark for an underground tunnel in San Francisco for Silicon Valley employees. This is a bailout to the special interest groups that gave them power. That's why.
According to the memo, the bill provides $50 million in funding for EPA environmental justice grants, a thinly veiled kickback to leftist environmental groups. The memo also pointed out that the bill provides nearly $600 million for additional paid leave for federal employees and postal workers. It also provides $130 billion on top of the $110 billion already given to schools, even if they remain closed. It seems that the Democrats are encouraging schools to stay closed. As for the proposal of increasing the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour, even Democrats have publicly come out to oppose it. Senator Joe Manchin, the former governor of West Virginia and a moderate Democrat, recently opposed the plan to raise minimum wage to $15 an hour. Instead, he advocated raising it to $11 an hour. Manchin said, quote, "I'm supportive of basically having something that's responsible and reasonable." He believes that the current minimum wage plan is too aggressive. Quote, $11 is the right place to be. I'd amend it to $11. By burying many of these left-wing policies in the reconciliation bill, the Democrats are also hoping to gain Republican support, as they most likely will not see these hidden policies. Obviously, the new administration's domestic and foreign policies do not represent the best interests of the majority of the American people. However, all the mainstream media outlets are on their side. Why? It seems almost fictional. Are we living in George Orwell's 1984? Why is it that our government and the congressmen do not represent the interests of the people? Why are those advocates for democracy actually leading us towards totalitarianism? Why are vandalizers and looters being protected, yet patriots are labeled as thugs? Why can't we even distinguish between man and woman? The reason is the elites, the globalists, behind this have absolute control of all of our mass communications media, especially television, the press, the social media networks, as well as Hollywood. The elites believe that they have the right and the power to manage the news, to tell us not the truth, but what they want us to believe. Some of our so-called leaders in Washington, who were supposedly elected to safeguard our nation and our Constitution, are agents of the deep state. Behind them is a small group of people whose sole objective is to enslave the whole world in their satanic plot of making a new world government. To achieve this goal, they need to destroy the sovereignty of the United States and its values of freedom and liberty. As David Rockefeller once said, quote, "Some even believe we are part of a secret cabal working against the best interests of the United States, characterizing my family and me as internationalists. and of conspiring with others around the world to build a more integrated global political and economic structure, one world, if you will. If that is the charge, then I stand guilty, and I am proud of it. Now decades have passed. The one world government has taken on different forms and names. The elites call it the Great Reset, the New World Order, globalization, or building back better. But the essence is the same. Now it seems like they are at the final steps of achieving their goal. However, they forgot one thing, which is that a higher being above us is in charge of everything. He is watching. Lastly, we would like to remind our viewers again that our platform may be restricted on social media. Click the link in the description below to register your email. In case of any unexpected disruptions, we will email you our latest updates. Rest assured that your email will not be used for any other purposes. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.